All right, Shalom. All praise, honor, and glory to Yahawah, bahasham, Yahawashi, bahasham, Rawchaa Qadash. Double honors to the apostles of Great Millstone who teach and rule well, and peace and salutation to the elect. This lesson is going to be entitled, Our Life is Hid in Yahawashi. And as I was just pondering on this lesson, this clip from the movie Star Wars came into my mind because Obi-Wan Kenobi makes a statement here that I just want to use to kind of lay a little bit of the foundation of this lesson as to why our life is hid in Yahawashi. So I'm gonna play this portion of the video, bring out some scriptures, and I'm gonna end out the video with another segment of this scene here. And Lord willing, you brothers will be edified.
Your power is a weak old man.
You can't win, Darth. If you strike me down, I shall become more powerful than you can possibly imagine.
So I'm gonna play that one more time. He said, if you strike me down, I will become more powerful than you can ever imagine.
Your power is a weak old man.
You can't win, Darth. If you strike me down, I shall become more powerful than you can possibly imagine.
So the point that I'm going to bring out in the lesson as to why our life is hid in Yahawashi is because whether we live or whether we die, we are unto Yahawah bahasham Yahawashi. So let's get that real quick. This is Romans 14:8. It says, whether we live unto the Lord, and whether we die unto the Lord. Whether we live, therefore, or die, we are the Lord's. And in this clip, it just reminded me that Obi-Wan's mentality wasn't on the present stage of living, because we're not living anyway in this society. You know, like the things that we're doing is basically in survival mode. But the statement he made saying, if you strike me down, I'll be more powerful than you'll ever imagine. And that's us really hiding in Yahawashi. That's us dwelling in these scriptures. That's us walking spiritually and having our hearts and affection on those things that are above, you know, which are eternal. So I'm going to start here at Galatians 2:19. It says, for I through the law am dead to the law, that I might live unto Yahawah. I am crucified with Hamashiach, nevertheless I live. Okay? Speaking of being struck down. Yet not I, but Hamashiach liveth in me. And the life which I now live in the flesh, I live by the faith of the Son of Yahawah, who loved me and gave himself for me. So we're walking and living in faith. And that's the same thing Obi-Wan had an idea, because clearly reincarnation is in the scriptures. So he knew that if he were to be killed, or if he were to die, that, as it says,
Your power is a weak old man.
You can't win, Darth. If you strike me down, I shall become more powerful than you can possibly imagine.
and it's true, because not only is that scenario viable for Yahawashi, but likewise the men of the Lord, the prophets of the Lord, it's also viable, because we're crucified. It said, I am crucified with Hamashiach, and likewise us crucifying the flesh. That is us becoming more powerful than Esau or any of these people have ever imagined. And that's through the Spirit. It says, and the life which I now live in the flesh, I live by the faith, which is the Spirit, of the Son of Yahawah, who loved me and gave himself for me. So we're going to get that word here real quick. Crucified. And it says crucified. It says to impale in company with, literally or figuratively, to crucify with. Okay? And that's exactly our life. Our life is going to be crucified, okay, in Yahawashi HaMashiach, to where we can live in the Spirit, to where we can have the confidence that if we were to die, if anything were to happen in Jacob's trouble, or anything were to happen between now and the return of Yahawashi HaMashiach, we know that we will live with him, okay? That is where our confidence has to be, dwelling on those things that are spiritual. Let's grab this. This is, let's start at Romans 6:2. It says, let's start at 1. It says, what shall we say then? Shall we continue to sin, that grace may abound? Yahawah forbid. How shall we that are dead to sin live any longer therein? Know ye not that so many of us as were baptized into Hamashiach Yahawashi were baptized into his death? Therefore we are buried with him by baptism into death, that like as Hamashiach was raised up from the dead by the glory of the Father, even so we also should walk in the newness of life. And that newness of life is talking about the Spirit. Okay? Living by faith. Living knowing that we are crucifying the flesh. Spiritually. Does that mean that you still don't have things that you like to do? Of course not. What it does mean is that you're now aligned with the Holy Spirit. And those things rule over the flesh. Okay, which is the reason why we don't eat pork, lobster, shrimp. The reason why we do not commit adultery. The reason why we do not practice these pagan customs and traditions. See, all of those things satisfy the lust of the flesh. It says, this is Romans 6:5. It says, for if we have been planted together in the likeness of his death, we shall be also in the likeness we shall be also in the likeness of his resurrection, which is the reason why we walk by the Spirit and our life is hid in Yahawashi. Because we're, as I said earlier, we're really not living anyway. These bodies are deteriorating. The food that we eat is corrupt. The air that we breathe isn't beneficial. We're living in chaos. Whereas the resurrection, the return, the uprising, okay, of Yahawashi, that Spirit being placed back into the hopeful elect, that is living. That is paradise. Okay? It says, verse 6, knowing this, that our old man is crucified with him. Okay? So the way in which the world has taught us to not live by the Spirit, that whole man has to be crucified. Okay? It says that the body of sin might be destroyed, that henceforth we should not serve sin. For he that is dead is freed from sin. Now if we be dead in Hamashiach, we believe that we shall also live with him. Okay? Because all of this is a build-up to us hiding in Yahawashi. It says, knowing that Hamashiach, being raised from the dead, dieth no more, death hath no more dominion over him. For in that he died unto sin once, but in that he liveth unto Yahawah. Likewise reckon ye also yourselves to be dead indeed unto sin. And really, that's this whole society in itself. Okay? But ultimately, what we're doing is we're abiding by the spirit of the words. Going back to Galatians. Nope. Let's go back here. Going back to Oh, here it is. Galatians 2:19, it says, "For I through the law am dead to the law, that I might live unto Yahawah." Okay? Because we are living through the Spirit. Okay? That is our secret place of Yahawashi, dwelling in Him. All right? Yep, let's read verse 8 again. It says, "Now if we be dead with Hamashiach, we believe that we shall also live with him, knowing that Hamashiach, being raised from the dead, dieth no more, death hath no more dominion over him. For in that he died unto sin once, but in that he liveth unto Yahawah. Likewise reckon ye also yourselves to be dead indeed unto sin, but alive unto Yahawah through Yahawashi Hamashiach our Lord. Let not sin therefore reign in your mortal body, that ye should obey it in the lust thereof. Neither yield ye your members as instruments of unrighteousness unto sin, but yield yourself unto Yahawah as those that are alive from the dead, and your members as instruments of righteousness unto Yahawah." Okay? So these are the things in which we know that we are going to live by. Okay? We're not going to satisfy the lust of the flesh as Esau drills into our people, having no care or no concern, no discernment of the things that are clean versus unclean. Okay? We're going to live unto righteousness, being those instruments of righteousness, those vessels of honor. Okay? And this is Colossians 3:1. It says, "If ye then be risen with Hamashiach, seek those things which are above, where Hamashiach sitteth on the right hand of Yahawah. Set your affection on things above, not on things on the earth." Okay? Those things that are above are holy. They're pure. Okay? Whereas the things on the earth, pursuant to Job 9:24, the earth being given into the hand of the wicked, those things are not pure. Those things are not spiritual. Those things are not everlasting. Esau pushes propaganda to have our people satisfy the lust of the flesh. Verse 3, this is Colossians 3:3, it says, "For ye are dead, and your life is hid with Hamashiach in Yahawah." So we're dead anyway. Okay? Because we're spiritual people. Now, of course, we exist in this flesh, but we're not living by the flesh. Our life, what we are ultimately going to live eternally, is going to be in Hamashiach Yahawashi. So let's get this word here, hid. The word here is crypto.
Strong's G 2928. Crypto.
Says to hide, conceal, to be hid, escape notice. Okay? Because we're walking in a world in which just believes that we're regular people, when we're really hid, to the world. And that's the beauty of this ministry. Yahawashi hid his elect men within a world of wickedness. And we look just like everybody else. There's no identifiers to say, oh, those are Israelites versus those are not. because it's by the Spirit. And that's how we're going to live. But I just thought it was so dope because it says to conceal properly by covering. All right. That reminds me of anointing. Okay. Or protection. Okay. Of Yahawashi. It says hid self kept secretly. You know. So the Lord is, it says, for ye are dead and your life is hid in Hamashiach Yahawashi. In Yahawah. So our life, what we do, this ministry, that is what fills and feeds our spirit. The things we have to do on a day-to-day basis, as far as going to work or dealing with people or family members, whatever that sort is, we're dead to that. I mean, we do it because it's a means to actually keep consistent, you know, and not cause any ruffles per se or ripples within society, to where we can continue to live our life spiritually in Hamashiach Yahawashi. But this is where life is for us, hid in Yahawashi Hamashiach. So this is the last segment here I'm going to read, and hopefully, Lord willing, this ties all of these thoughts together as far as not living to the flesh, and how our life is hid in Yahawashi. That is where we will live and rule eternally. This is Romans 8:1. It says, therefore, Salakia, there is therefore now no condemnation to them which are in Hamashiach Yahawashi. See, that's beautiful. It says to them which are in Hamashiach Yahawashi. We just read in Colossians, for ye are dead and your life is hid with Hamashiach in Yahawah. It says, who walk not after the flesh, but after the Spirit. For the law of the Spirit of life in Hamashiach Yahawashi had made me free from the law of sin and death. Why? Because we're now embodying the law, statutes, and commandments, and we're living by them. Okay? Of course, the law will never be done away with. It's a reference point. Just like when you learn how to cook, you necessarily don't always go back to the recipe and read the recipe, every time you cook. Right? Why? Because you've embodied the recipe, and now you, after so many times of cooking that same meal, you reference the recipe when necessary, but ultimately you understand how to cook in the Spirit. That is exactly what we're doing through these holy scriptures. We are living by the Spirit, not unto sin, not unto death, not unto the flesh. It says, verse 3, for what the law could not do, in that it was weak through the flesh, Yahweh sending his own Son in the likeness of sinful flesh, and for sin, condemneth sin in the flesh. See, Yahawashi was hid, from this world as well, or concealed, or secret. They just thought he was a regular dude, till he started to tell them who he was and start to perform miracles, okay, and heal. And these are the same things in which we're growing into. Okay, it said, if we be baptized with him, we will be resurrected with him. If we be buried with him, we should also live with him. Okay. Verse 4, that the righteousness of the law might be fulfilled in us. Boom. Who walk not after the flesh, but after the Spirit. For they that are after the flesh do mind the things of the flesh, but they that are after the Spirit, the things of the Spirit. And that's us. It says, for to be carnally minded is death, but to be spiritually minded is life and peace. And that's what we're seeking eternally. Because the carnal mind is enmity against Yahweh, for it is not subject to the law of Yahweh, neither indeed can be. So then they that are in the flesh cannot please Yahawah. But ye are not in the flesh, but in the Spirit. If so be that the Spirit of Yahawah dwell in you. Now if any man have not the Spirit of Hamashiach, he is none of his. Okay? Which goes to show you that everybody's not going to make it. Okay? Because you have to be in the Spirit of Hamashiach. You can't be in the Spirit of sweet baby Jesus. You got to be in the Spirit of Yahawashi Hamashiach. Verse 10. And if Hamashiach be in you, okay, we read in Colossians 3:3, for ye are dead, and your life is hid with Hamashiach in Yahawah. And if Hamashiach be in you, the body is dead because of sin, but the spirit is life because of righteousness. Okay, so yeah, you're in the kitchen and you're cooking now, but you're cooking with flavor. You're as people say, they put love in that meal, right? Something along those lines. Well, that's exactly what we're doing when we live by the Spirit. We're living unto righteousness. Okay? We are fulfilling the words that were laws through the Spirit by action. Okay? Being those examples as Yahawashi is our example. Okay? Of being that instrument of righteousness for the purpose of delivering the elect. Verse 11, this is Romans 8:11. It says, but if the spirit of him that raised up Yahawashi from the dead dwell in you, he that raised up Hamashiach from the dead shall also quicken your mortal bodies by his spirit that dwelleth in you. So yeah, just to prove that everything in which we live by is through the Spirit. So even going back to Obi-Wan, and I'm going to play that one more time and then we'll wrap up. But although this scene is in the flesh, he was living, his thought process was through the Spirit. You know? Which is why even in the movie it says, a phrase often said is, use the force. And I remember as a kid listening to it and I was like, man, use the force. What are they talking about? Well, let's go back to the verse. It says, Galatians 2:20, I am crucified with Hamashiach, nevertheless I live. Yet not I, but Hamashiach liveth in me. And the life which I now live in the flesh, I live by the faith. So, as they were talking about use the force, they were talking about using the faith. Okay, this is a very highly spiritual movie. Okay, but they were talking about use the faith. Like that's what the Lord gave us. Okay, of the Son of Yahawah, who loved me and gave himself for me. So, you know, like I said, I'm going to play this part and then I'm going to play this last part. And Lord willing, you brothers were edified.
Your power's a weak old man.
You can't win, Darth. If you strike me down, I shall become more powerful than you can possibly imagine.
Now notice, he had a grin on his face. Okay? A slight grin. Why? Because he knew he was living through the Spirit. Okay? So even going back to Romans 14:8, whether we live unto the Lord, and whether we die unto the Lord. Whether we live, therefore, or die, we are the Lord's.